If you're over 40 and hoping to get pregnant, you may be wondering, what are the chances this is going to work for me? You might be Googling for statistics. What are the chances of getting pregnant at 40, at 42, at 46, at 47? You may be checking chat forums to ask if this has happened for anyone else. You may be checking over and over again to see what you may have missed. And when you see low numbers, you may wonder if it's worthwhile for you to continue holding hope that this could happen for you. If you can relate to any of this, then this video is for you. I'm Dr. Natalie Masson, and I'm a clinical psychologist and fertility coach. Here at Fertility from the Soul, I share guided meditations, information, and inspiration to help you along in your fertility journey. In this video, I'm sharing my reactions to an email from a viewer who was responding to my recent videos in a series about whether you should consider trying with your own eggs to get pregnant in your 40s. I'm going to address a number of issues in this video, but particularly the issue of checking the statistics about getting pregnant at a certain age. Stick around till the end because I'm going to tell you about a guided meditation I've created to help you overcome feelings of doubt that you may have about your ability to get pregnant. Let's dive right into this email because I think it is so relatable. This viewer has given me permission to share her email, and we're calling her Carla. She writes, I hope you're well. I wanted to share an experience with you and would be so grateful on your thoughts. I think the work you do is amazing, and it's so refreshing to find someone that genuinely wants to help without financial motivation. Just as an aside, I know how painful this journey can be emotionally and financially, and I do my best to make my guidance as accessible as possible. She continues, I've been trying for baby number 2 for 3 years with 2 miscarriages, but no pregnancy for 18 months. I'm so sorry, Carla, for all that you've been going through over these past 3 years. That's very difficult. Back to Carla's email. 7 years ago, I went to a fertility clinic that specializes in low-dose meds for older women. I was about to have IVF with them. They told me I had a 1 to 2% chance of conceiving naturally. 3 months later, I did just that. My son is 6. Now, she shares later that she's about to turn 47, so she was about 40 years old at that time. And that's a really common thing that we hear, that someone is told some very, very low statistic of their chances, and then they turn around and get pregnant. I've heard this story very many times. Now, it sounds like she's gone back to a fertility clinic and she's had some testing done. The doctor gave me my results, and they are the same as when I went there 7 years ago. They've explained that although the results are the same, my eggs are older. They gave us a 1% chance of the treatment working using my own eggs, but 40% with donor. As we already have a child, donor egg is not an option for us. I had my follow-up call with a female doctor, and it's left me devastated. Whereas the male doctor's predictions were grim, she basically said, don't bother. They haven't had anyone my age successful in years, and there's less than 1% chance. I have been left broken as I was hanging on to that 1% chance. I know it's only her opinion, but I wish they worded it like you. Now, I think she's referring to what I said in a video I released recently, entitled Over 40, Is There Hope for Getting Pregnant with Your Own Eggs? And what I was expressing was a wish that instead of just rolling out doom and gloom statistics, these clinics would say, this is what we've seen in the past. It's up to you how you want to go forward. If you would like to go forward, we'll do everything that we can to support you. Something along those lines. So this is not the message that Carla received. It was, the chances are so low, we really don't think that you should bother trying. Her email continues, I'm now in a total mess and not sure whether to go ahead with a clinic that doesn't believe in me or keep trying myself. I'll be 47 in July. My cycles are regular, I have normal periods, my diet is really healthy. I follow all the egg quality recommendations of yours, including light therapy. My husband's sperm is good. The only thing I don't do is believe in my body's ability, as I keep being told it won't happen, which I know is a fundamental part of this. Do you have anyone in your program my age with success, as I'm being told it's an impossibility? That was Carla's email, and I asked her if I could share this in a video. She said, please do if you think it may help others. And she adds, my egg count before my son was 1.4, and they wrote me off. Then I conceived my son 3 months later. Many things I want to say about everything that she has shared in this email. But from what she just said, I want to clear up one thing to start with. She says her egg count was 1.4, and I wrote back and asked her what she meant by egg count, and she said my AMH was 1.4 7 years ago. Now it's 1.2. I'm sure it stayed like that because of diet and supplements. So I want to just make sure that we're all on the same page about what we're talking about with these different lab tests. AMH is a blood test that can be taken at any time of the month, and it's believed to reflect your follicle activity at that particular time and may be an indicator of how much egg reserve you have. So it's not literally a count of your eggs, but it's some loose correlation with the quantity of eggs that you may have. And to put this in context, one human requires 1 egg to grow. So each pregnancy requires 1 egg. So when she says AMH 1.4, that's not 1.4 eggs or something like that. That is 1.4 of some amount of some chemical that they see as being lower when women are older and have less eggs coming forward. So we want to be careful about how we read that, because it can be misrepresented. Sometimes it's described as your egg quality, which it is not. It's some reflection of quantity. And when you're in your 20s and 30s, early 30s, your AMH is going to be very high, and it kind of starts going down around your mid 30s and into your 40s. But I am the poster child for getting pregnant with very low AMH. When I was 45, I had my AMH tested many times, and it was below 1 every time across a year, during which I got pregnant 3 times. 2 were miscarriages, and the 3rd was a successful pregnancy. So I know from personal experience that it's possible to have a very low AMH and still get pregnant with your own eggs. So we want to keep all that in perspective. But I also want to state that I don't think I've ever heard of somebody with AMH that high at almost 47. So I would take that as a positive. That sounds very promising to me. And interesting also that it's actually not really lower than 7 years ago. It's about the same as it was 7 years ago. So a lot of times people think that, oh, every year it must be going down. And I've seen the contrary. It can stay level. It can even go up. The next piece that I want to address is the topic of this video, which is this interest in finding out the statistics so that you can decide if you should have hope for yourself or not. I feel like we really need to be redirecting the question by looking at what's underneath this question, because I hear it coming up all the time. What are the statistics? What have you seen happening in your program? Have you ever seen this happen for anybody else before? What's under that is ultimately what Carla asked is, does it make sense for me to continue trying to pursue this? And I would say that depends more on your approach to pursuing things versus what these statistics are. So let me give you some examples. Let's take Olympic athletes, for example. Do you think that Michael Phelps, when he was in his early training years, thought to himself, what do the statistics say about my chances of being the best Olympic swimmer of all time? Do you think he was Googling that? I don't know, they had Google back then. Do you think he was asking his doctor that? Do you think he was asking his coach that? Can you tell me the statistics? What are the chances that I am going to be the world's greatest swimmer? Let's look at Simone Biles in gymnastics. How many titles has she won? Do you think she typed into Google, what are the chances that I will be able to pull off this gymnastics trick. She has innovated and broken so many expectations and raised the bar on what's possible in so many ways. I really doubt that she was looking outside of herself for evidence that she could achieve these things that look like superhuman feats. The people who go for stuff and break those boundaries are not spending their energy asking, what are the chances? They're asking, how might I do this? What can I do to help me get there? They're wondering how much more they can do if they believe in themselves. I think they're probably sitting around believing in themselves. I don't think they spend a lot of time doubting themselves. And when the doubts come up, we saw this in a previous Olympics with Simone Biles, she got twisted up in her head in her confidence for doing big tricks. And she knew that that was very dangerous for her, and she pulled out in the middle of the Olympic competition. She pulled out and said, I can't do this. I'm putting myself at risk. I'm not going to help the team if I push myself when my head's not in the right space. So she recognized when she was ready to move forward and when she was getting in her head and going to undermine her ability to do these amazing things that she does. So it's interesting when you look at the different ways that you can look at things and how that's going to impact things for you. So my feeling about when you're on this fertility journey is to see, like, if there's a possibility that this could work for you, it's certainly reasonable to keep the door open and to keep trying. I would not worry about what other people think about your chances, except for if you're wanting some assistance, then you want to find people who are going to support you, even if they've never seen it happen before. Maybe you'll be the first one that they see it happen for. So I like to offer that perspective. Planes flying overhead. I like to offer that perspective of, why not me? Why not try? If you feel like that is a way you want to live in your life, if that's the way you'd like to pursue things. And I also encourage a perspective of, I'm also going to set myself up to have a wonderful life if this pathway doesn't work out, because there aren't guarantees, and we don't want to put all of our eggs into one basket in terms of our happiness and well-being, and then be left at the end of the road if it didn't work out, feeling completely devastated. So I want you to have multiple possibilities in your mind for how you're going to thrive in life. And that means that this can be one of them. Even if the chances are itsy bitsy, you can still try. I have a number of examples in my life where I pursued things where the statistics were way against me, and it worked out. And I never would have had a chance to find out if it worked if I was busy looking at what are my chances and getting discouraged about that. One that comes to mind was applying to graduate school for clinical psychology. I was coming from a different major. I had majored in engineering and then said I wanted to switch, and I applied to programs that were extremely competitive because these are the programs that are research-based and funded by the university, so you don't have to graduate with a whole heap load of debt. So you can imagine a lot of people want these spots. And I applied to just a couple places. My chances were very small because in my class at USC, there were 300 applicants and 3 people were chosen. I happened to be one of them. I worked very hard to make my application such that I would stand out, but I was rejected by UCLA and I was accepted by USC. So I was good. I only needed one program. I got into the one program. I got my Ph.D. On my way there, I had another hurdle to get through. I had to apply for a clinical internship in my 5th year of graduate school. That's also a very competitive process, and I didn't have as many clinical hours as most people applying because, long story, because my graduate class was so small that they held us back to link us up with another group, so we didn't get to start our clinical training for a whole year. And so my hours accrued, which is a big part of the application package, was much lower. And so I did not have a very competitive package, but I decided to go after a slot at a place I really wanted to go. Yale University had a clinical and community internship opportunity that sounded right up my alley. I was so excited about it. But what are the chances with a weak application packet that I was going to have that I could get into a top tier internship? There were hundreds of applicants for 3 slots again, hundreds of applicants from all around the country. And I applied to 20 different clinical internships. I got rejected outright by 17 of them. I got interviewed by 3, and I got the offer from Yale. It was like, I remember the moment I got the phone call saying that I had gotten chosen. I remember I was lying in bed at 7 a.m. because they were on East Coast time and I was on Pacific time. And I remember getting that phone call and just thinking like, I can't believe I got this thing that is so rare. So that is also the mindset that I carried into trying to get pregnant when I was 45 years old. There was no guarantee. The chances were so small, but I didn't ask other people, what are my chances? In fact, I didn't go to a fertility clinic for any assistance because I knew that at my age, and I'd had 2 miscarriages already, I knew that they were going to say, don't bother. I could Google enough, even back then, that was almost 10 years ago, I could Google enough back then to know that the response was going to be like, what are you doing here? And why would I spend $300 on a consultation to be told, what are you doing here? So I knew that the odds were low, but I also knew that sometimes it still works out. So why not try? But I wasn't letting the statistics take away my motivation and my belief that possibly it could happen. Because what happens when you let that motivation be taken away? If I would have listened to the statistics, A, I would not have applied to graduate school for clinical psychology, so I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you as a psychologist. B, I certainly wouldn't have applied to that internship that was highly sought after with the weak application packet that I had. And C, I would not have been fantasizing that maybe I could have another pregnancy as I was about to turn 46 years old. So it doesn't always work out like that. There have been things that I went for and missed, but you don't have to feel bad about trying. See that you have courage. You have courage for giving it a shot, for believing it's possible. Think of all the athletes that didn't make it to where Michael Phelps did, and not only were they not second or third on the medal stand, they didn't make it to the Olympic trials, maybe they didn't make it to nationals, but they had the fantasy that maybe they could be that good, maybe it could work for them, and they went for it. Do you look at them and say, ugh, why did they even bother trying? They didn't make it to the top. No, you say, well, good for you for trying. And that's what I say to anybody who is, in their 40s and saying, should I keep trying? Is it foolish for me to keep trying? Switch your mindset. Don't call yourself foolish. Call yourself hopeful and courageous, and don't beat yourself up if things aren't happening and coming together for you. You don't know what might be right around the corner, and it's up to you to choose what mindset you want to hold. And it's not like I go into these low probability situations saying, I know for sure it's going to work out for me. It has to work for me. The universe has my back, and I know that I'm going to get the thing that I want. I'm aware that things could go either way, but I'm preparing myself to be resilient in either situation. And when it does work out, I'm just so very grateful. I remember the moment. I remember exactly where I was standing when I was waiting to hear the test results for my 3rd pregnancy when I was 45. I was 12 weeks pregnant at this point, and I was waiting to hear the blood test results to find out if this pregnancy was genetically normal. And I remember I kept my phone with me all the time, waiting for my doctor to call. And somehow that morning I missed the call, and then I saw that I had a voicemail from Dr. Cobb, and I was like holding my breath when I played that message. And I just remember when he said, we got the results back, and it's genetically normal. It's still, like, how many years later, it still moves me, because I know there's no guarantees, and we are so fortunate when something works out like that. And I fell down on my knees and I just sobbed, because it was something that I had held so much hope for, knowing that it's not guaranteed, and just hoping that maybe it could work out. Okay, so I hold that hope for each of you who may be, facing negative statistics, and just holding your heart gently and keeping your heart open and inviting in these possibilities. I'm gonna come back now to Carla's email. The last thing she said in that email is, one of the last things she said is, I'm fed up with age shaming. It's no wonder we have limited beliefs in our body's abilities. This is really potent. She called out the age shaming that is happening all around us in so many ways. And I have so many thoughts about this. I'm going to make a separate video about this whole age shaming thing. For now, I want to let you know that you get to choose how you want to feel about your age and how you want to believe in your body's abilities. So Carla went on to ask what resources in my program that I would recommend for her. She's done my Improving Egg Quality workshop and my 7-day Fertility Chill Out retreat. She loved them. She was interested in my fertility coaching program almost a year ago, and I had let her have a peek around to see if it felt right, because she just wasn't sure, and she felt like it was overwhelming. It was like too many things for her to try to pay attention to. So she's asking if there's something else. Well, my answer for Carla is that I still think that's the best option, because I really pour everything I have into there. And if you're concerned about feeling overwhelmed, I am happy to give you piecemeal guidance about what to do next. I can help you take the overwhelm out of that process. I'm going to go through now kind of a summary of some recommendations in response to this email from Carla. Carla, if you came into my program, I'll kind of help whittle down where I think you could focus, what else you might be able to do for egg quality beyond what you've done. A big piece that's often missing for people is reducing stress, because that's very challenging to do on this journey, but I have a lot of supports to help you with that. And when you find yourself looking for statistics about has this happened for someone else, I think in general we can just say we have seen this happen up to late 40s. If you look in forums, you see evidence. Somebody actually posted on my YouTube channel that they know somebody who got pregnant naturally at 46, somebody else at 48. I really encourage you to think about the Olympic athletes. Think about the possibility of keeping the door open to possibility, but also not cutting off the possibility that you can love the life that you have, because then we're in a win-win situation, right? We can keep the door open and try this other thing, and we can really embrace what we already have going on in our lives and learn to take care of our emotions in a way that we're not so attached to a certain outcome to allow us to feel happy and satisfied in our lives. I really like to approach both pathways at the same time for our best outcome, in terms of ultimately our outcome is to feel great in our lives, to feel satisfied, to feel fulfilled. And if that means, closing the door because the chances are not high enough and you want to switch your focus, that's fine. If that means keeping the door open because you like to pursue life from this place of, hey, if it's a possibility, I'm going to go for it anyway. It's really up to you which way you want to approach it. It's not right or wrong. And please don't let anybody make you feel ashamed for having the approach that you have. If they want to look doubtingly at you, that's their thing. But you can feel confident that you know what your reasons are for approaching things the way that you do. And if you do go down the IVF path and you're in your mid-40s to later, I would highly encourage learning about low and no stimulation IVF. Intuitively, it seems more promising than doing higher stimulation to try to get more eggs in terms of your performance of your ovaries and the quality of your eggs. I am compelled by the idea that lower stimulation is going to give you better chances. I pulled up a couple other comment threads from my YouTube channel, from some emails, and I have one here. Somebody said, I actually feel a little ridiculous for trying to get pregnant at my age, and the discouragement from the medical community obviously doesn't help. So I'm going to say, just, toss away those doubters and decide how you want to feel about approaching things in a way that feels right for you. Somebody else has written, I'm a doctor and I know about statistics. I'm giving it my best, doing meditations, prayers, practicing gratitude, spending time in nature, etc., and I hope for the best outcome. So that's a more uplifting outlook. Anna Bonita shared a comment on a video. She said, I know of a few women who did it at 46 and one at 48 naturally. That's the comment I was referring to earlier. It's only 1 year difference, and if you're ovulating every month, I don't see why a 1 year age difference between 46 and 47 would matter. I personally wouldn't focus too much on age, but more on your overall health and well-being. I'm not a doctor, but that's just my 2 cents. So she was responding to, in my video, talking to somebody who was 47 years old and not sure if she should keep trying. Oh, here's another comment that came in on my channel today. Juliana says, I really worry about stats now that I've hit 45, although through your work and videos, I'm much more confident in the possibility of still having good quality eggs. I think it's silly that in the UK anyways, the stats they have for 45-year-olds are for the 45 to 50 bracket. So essentially now that I'm just 2 weeks into being 45, I get the same stats as a 50-year-old. So yes, Juliana, I give you permission to decide which statistics you want to even care about. And I think the one that I would focus on is maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible. And that can be enough to say it's okay to try. Okay, so throw out the doom and gloom statistics, but take smart steps to do the things that are going to give you the best chance. And that is what I hope that I can continue offering encouragement and support around, is to adopt a positive expectation and educate yourself, motivate yourself, engage in programs that are going to help you stay hopeful, help you stay committed, and help you reduce stress around everything that you're looking at when you're on this fertility journey. So I told you at the beginning that I wanted to offer you some resources to help you move forward from here. If you haven't already watched the last 2 videos that I released about age and donor eggs, go check those out. You can download my free guide, 20 Strategies for Improving Egg Quality. And that'll put you also on my newsletter list so you can hear announcements about things that are coming in a timely manner. And I have a guided meditation that you may have skipped over simply because it's very long. It's 50 minutes long, and it's called Trusting Your Body. This is one that I encourage you to set aside time for, maybe on a weekend when there's a little more space. But give yourself time, not when you're about to fall asleep, but give yourself time when you'll actually be able to stay alert and hear the messages, because this is a carefully crafted guided imagery hypnosis recording to help shift the programming in your mind, especially if you've been surrounded by negativity. This is to help you shift the programming. I have you imagine that you're going up in a hot air balloon and being transported to a place where everything is hopeful and positive about everything that your body can do. So check out the Trusting Your Body fertility meditation if you haven't already, and if it's been a while, you might just come back and revisit it, because these things impact us in different ways at different times. And if you want to learn my system for improving egg quality, the kinds of things that I was using to guide myself when I was on this path, when I was 45, on my way to getting pregnant right before I turned 46, check out my Improving Egg Quality workshop. I've consolidated all of my teachings there into a really tight 90-minute workshop so that you can quickly get a handle on the directions that I'm encouraging and start creating a custom program for yourself. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more content like this. And I am holding hope for you and your eggs and all of your big dreams. I'm at the local park doing this recording while I'm waiting for my kids to be done with school. And the sun has shifted during the time I've been making the video, and it's like baking down on my back right now. It's a really beautiful day in Southern California, but I've got to get out of the sun now.